This practice is mindfulness of thoughts. So taking a moment to check in with our posture, ensuring that we have a posture that sets our intention to practice for the next 15-20 minutes. Remembering, however, that we can change our posture at any time should we note that we are uncomfortable. The intention for this practice is to observe our thoughts as though we are sitting on a riverbank, watching them float by in the river in front of us, or perhaps on a train station platform, watching the trains coming and going. So we're simply going to practice as best we can, observing our thoughts and not getting caught in thinking. You might want to check in with your own intention for this practice. And then consider for a moment our motivation to practice mindfulness. And why might it be helpful for us to become more aware of the stream of thoughts that enter our minds? Perhaps it will be helpful to see these as events in the mind, less likely to get hijacked and taken off by the endless thought streams that our brain produces. We're able to respond to our life moment by moment, rather than reacting habitually and perhaps even unhelpfully. So just checking in with what motivates us to practice mindfulness. And then allowing any sense of holding our posture or intention or motivation to just fade into the background of our mind. And allow ourselves to settle into feeling the body as a whole. It might help to take a few settling breaths. A few breaths that are slightly longer and slightly deeper. Perhaps becoming aware of the entire breath cycle. As we breathe in and breathe out. Perhaps place a little bit more of our attention upon the out breath. Noticing that as the body lets go of the breath, it has a tendency to settle and relax a little. perhaps our mind can follow the example of the body and settle a little. Thoughts will continue to arise, just not getting caught up in thinking. Then letting go of any sense of controlling our breath in any way, had we chosen to do that. And simply allowing ourselves to become aware of the entire body and breath, moment by moment, unfolding in our awareness. Perhaps grounding ourselves a little bit more into the body by becoming aware of any sensations that may be present in this moment, allowing them all to arise and fade. Noticing any sensations in our feet, our sitting bones, where our hands are placed, the top of the body, to the feet of the body, from the left side of the body to the right, and from the front of the body to the back of the body, so that we're holding center stage our entire body, breathing in and breathing out. Allowing ourselves to come to rest, letting go of holding any sense of breathing in a certain way or holding the body in a certain way. Just becoming aware of any thoughts, any feelings. Allow that to become center stage of our awareness as we sit here, breathing in and breathing out. Paying attention to the stream of thoughts as though sitting on a riverbank, noticing the thoughts as they float in front of us, but not getting carried away by the emotional charge or the content of any individual thoughts. Just resting comfortably on the bank of the thoughts, allowing the thoughts, if and when they arise, to simply be seen, felt, recognized and known as thoughts in our awareness. Recognizing our thoughts as secretions of the thinking mind, independent of the content and the emotional charge that they may have upon us. Although noticing that too. So as we sit at rest, breathing in and breathing out, simply notice the thoughts as they arise, present themselves for a while, and if we don't get caught in them, notice how they fade of their own accord. And as we sit at rest, observing and paying attention to the arising and falling of thoughts, might see them as bubbles or eddies or currents within the thought stream, rather than as facts or truth, whatever the content, whatever the emotional charge, whatever sense of urgency they present in us, or however often they reappear, whether we judge them as pleasant and seductive or unpleasant and repulsive, or perhaps even neutral. You're simply practicing remaining at rest, observing the comings and goings of the mind. And if we do get caught in the thought stream and find ourselves downriver in a different emotional state, then simply acknowledge where we have become aware that we got lost in thought, and as best we can, see if it's possible to return to this resting, breathing body, sitting here, simply observing the coming and going of the mind, thoughts arising, sensations coming and going, emotions reacting perhaps to different thoughts, just resting in awareness of thinking itself, and resting in the spaces between thoughts, moment by moment, breath by breath, as we sit or lie here in this moment. And it might be helpful if we find ourselves particularly sensitive to a steady stream of comments and advice that our minds might give us as we practice. Simply recognize it as that, a running commentary, and see if we can practice taking that relationship to it as though turning down the sound on the television. We're watching the game on the TV, but we're just not getting sucked into the stream of comments and opinions, characteristic perhaps of TV sports events. We're simply practicing as best we can, detecting the individual secretions of the thinking mind on our experience as simply thinking and thoughts and judgments. And we're practicing sitting to the side of those without getting pulled into the past or future opinions or fears or desires. Simply seeing thoughts and knowing them as thoughts and emotions, as events in the mind, not the truth, even though they may proliferate endlessly. We're simply watching and observing whilst we breathe in and breathe out. And we may get carried away on a stream of thoughts or jump onto the train of thoughts, endlessly getting caught, find ourselves downstream or at another platform. As best we can, over and over again, practice coming back to this moment and this breath. And as best as we're able, simply observing the content of the endlessly thinking mind. Allowing all that is presented to us to be held in our awareness, moment to moment, breath by breath, as we sit or lie here, resting in the awareness of thoughts and emotions, simply accepting our thoughts and emotions, whatever the content, whatever the emotional charge. It's being curious to observe what our mind produces. If we can cultivate an ability to carefully observe rather than identify with the content of our thoughts and emotions, we may be more able to view them impersonally as weather patterns in the mind, ripples or waves on the surface of a vast, deep ocean of the mind. As we know, the mind inhabits a boundless essence, one thought after another, some thoughts feeling bigger than others, some thoughts so powerful they take us away from this present moment. We can get caught and imprisoned by the unwise and unexamined habit of mind that develops over a lifetime of ignoring the mindscape and landscape of our own being and our lives that unfold. So for the next few moments, until you hear the sound of the bowl, practice resting in awareness with the arising and passing of thoughts and emotions. Notice how some are obvious, some are subtle, some return over and over, some carry us away. Just practice noticing moment by moment, breath by breath. Observing. as we come towards the end of this practice on observing thoughts and emotions, maybe take a moment to check in with any benefit we may have gained from practicing in this way. And may any benefit remain with us to continue to benefit us and also benefit those with whom we share our life.